So you want to play fast. For real this time, you want to play fast. No, I said fast. Yes, okay, so speed is not everything. But if you're like me, you just love those high adrenaline, super fast alternate picking sections. So you're absolutely obsessed with perfecting your picking technique to get to this level. If that's the case, great news, you definitely picked the right video today. As you know, we discussed picking technique and speed a lot on the channel already. But since I'm also on this quest to perfect guitar technique together with you, I keep finding small details in my own playing and technique that actually make a huge difference. And today I'd like to show you 3 bad habits that held me back until recently, and of course the extremely powerful exercises that fixed them. If you're as excited about this as I am, make sure to shred over that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's do this. So today's first topic is all about hand synchronization, but it's really not what you think. As you know, we should definitely dedicate a lot of practice time to getting our hands in sync in order to play fast and super clean. That's why I made a full course package on it for my Patreon community. But working on this a lot over the last couple of years also led to a pretty significant realization for me. It's extremely difficult to separate the intensity of your motions with your picking hand and with your fretting hand. What I mean by that is if you have to dig in a bit harder with your picking motion at very fast tempos, your fretting hand also tends to cramp up. Because it feels like the intensity of the motions with both hands and the tension in your body can't be separated. So I realized, of course, I want my hands synced up for alternate picking. I want every single picking stroke to line up with the correct note that my fretting hand is playing. But I don't want the intensity of my motion synced up. So when I'm picking really hard, I still want to be able to relax with my fretting hand. So since I had this small technique revelation, I was working with 4 note per string licks with 16th notes. Here's an example for you. So this exercise is currently in my alternate picking speed block. In my current practice routine, I want to spend at least 15 minutes at high tempos above 200 beats per minute with my alternate picking. That's when I really push myself and I focus on developing my technique further. And of course, the most important realizations concerning my picking technique usually happen in this practice block. So in my humble opinion, this is exactly what you should do each day to push yourself and to develop your skills further. That's why I finally made a much requested picking speed package for all of our members on Patreon. That one is based on my own current picking speed routine. With all these awesome practice files, you can test your limits on a daily basis. As always, you can find the link below. The second recent technique revelation actually came from the daily interaction with my student base, because I get quite a lot of frustrated messages on Patreon concerning picking inconsistencies on different strings. Here's a recent example for you, maybe you can relate to this. Hi Bernd, I'm relatively happy with the progress concerning the speed of my picking motion, but it's much easier for me to play fast on the higher strings. As soon as I go to the lower strings, it all falls apart. And here's where it gets interesting. I also get a lot of messages from students that struggle with the higher strings, and it's much easier for them to play on the lower strings. So the other way around. I naturally started investigating this some more, and I found my personal solution for this problem and why it occurs in the first place. It's because our picking angle sometimes completely changes from string to string when we anchor our wrist on the bridge like this and just move in an arching motion like that. So you end up with a good or normal angle for your alternate picking motion on the higher strings like this. But if you keep your wrist anchored like this for the perfect position on the highest strings and then just perform an arching movement like this, you end up with a really weird angle for the lowest strings. And of course this is a pretty extreme example, but we often don't even realize that we're doing this as we're switching between the strings. And as you can see, with the white pick that I'm using, I have a nice picking angle right here, so my pick is angled a bit. That means I get less resistance from the strings and it's easier to speed up my motion. But as soon as I perform this kind of arching movement like this, I suddenly end up with a parallel angle for the lower strings, and that makes it really hard to play fast and controlled. That doesn't exactly feel right. That feels much better. So in order to fix these inconsistencies, I've been working with simple mechanical scale phrases that cover all strings. Similar to sweep picking, I was focusing on moving my hand along as I was transitioning between the strings to keep the same picking angle, instead of just anchoring my wrist and moving like that, resulting in different picking angles. Here's an example exercise to get you started. Of course, you can also experiment with anchoring your picking hand if you're just playing over 2 or 3 strings. But as soon as you actually have to move across all strings for very complicated and long scale phrases, make sure to try to move your picking hand along to get the same picking angle for every single string. That should definitely help. So before we actually move to the third and probably most important topic of this video, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say how proud I am of all of you. We built an awesome, extremely supportive and positive community here on YouTube together, which is actually quite unusual for this platform. And I really love how everybody is sharing their progress down in the comments and how you're also all giving helpful tips to each other. We are a very hard-working community and we are all dedicated to getting better and better on the guitar every single day. So if you'd like to be one of us and part of this small guitar progress movement, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now. That way you finally also play a huge role in our community and you will also stay updated and you won't miss any more videos. The third bad habit actually concerns the size of your picking motion. This is something we're discussing a lot in the Patreon VIP Facebook group. We often have posts of students in there about not being able to speed up the picking motion anymore beyond a certain tempo, just like hitting a brick wall with your picking technique. And we often look for very complex solutions and explanations for this problem. But as it turns out, the problem is often connected to the basics. Sometimes your picking motion is simply too big or too aggressive to be sped up further. Singers often tend to sing louder when they try to hit higher pitches, especially beginners like me, of course. And with us guitarists, it's actually quite the same. We tend to pick more aggressively with a bigger motion when we want to play faster. But as you know from the economy of motion episodes on the channel, it's much harder to speed up a big uncontrolled motion, and it will be really exhausting as soon as you push for endurance. So check out a take of the third simple speed exercise I'm currently working on in my practice routine. It's a really basic one and it's all about testing how small that picking motion can actually be. So this is a really simple picking exercise that I do at the end of each speed training routine every day. Of course, the special twist with that one is that I focus on keeping the motion as small as possible, although I'm playing very fast. I make sure to practice this on all strings and I'm going all the way up to the 24th fret, so this also really helps with developing endurance with those high tempos. It really blew my mind how small the motion can be as soon as I started experimenting with it, and this instantly resulted in better endurance and control with my alternate picking. And this is not just about playing this exercise. Smaller and more controlled motions will also make it much easier for you to play fast guitar solos. You will sound much cleaner as well, because you will avoid all that unwanted noise that comes from a huge picking motion like that. Of course, you can practice this together with me every single day from now on with the video play-alongs I made for you on Patreon. That way you also have some helpful visual feedback when you look at my technique, and it's simply more fun to work with practice files like this every day. As always, I also have a random German word for you at the end. Publikum. That one's a bit hard. It means audience. So make sure to share this one in the comments down below, because it greatly confuses everybody who's not watching the videos until the end, or the people who are watching the channel for the first time. Hi to everybody. I will hopefully see you again in the next video or on Patreon. I hope you have an awesome day and tons of fun working on your guitar speed. Great news, my friends, I'm finally on Spotify to provide you with some awesome guitar music and shredding. You can already listen to my first full-length album, Elevation. And there's plenty more exciting music in the making for you right now. So make sure to follow me on Spotify today. The link is in the description, or you can just search for my name.